Thanks to CCleaner for sponsoring this video. I have a lot in common with the Pixel line. We've both been around for a while, and we seem to have peaked in high school. When the Pixel came out, it was so good in the camera department that it set the bar at a height that we'd never seen before. And every subsequent Pixel 2 all the way up to the 5 has sort of been at a level of awesome. But when the 1 came out, it was so incredible. The expectations to get something every year that were equally incredible are impossible to be met. So now we're at the Pixel 5, the pinnacle of pixelness. They've taken it a bit downstream, but they've refined it. It's gotten better. And now that I've been using the phone for almost 2 months, I have thoughts on it. Software updates have hit. It is now what it's going to be in its final form. It's evolved into what the Pixel 5 is finally going to be. And should it be the phone that's in your pocket, or is it worth waiting for this rumored Pixel XC that started to leak out? Let's talk about it. The Pixel's kind of a phone that I think I've taken for granted over the years. Every version of it's been some version of good. There's been screen issues and battery problems and weird memory drain stuff that's happened over the course of the few years the phone's been around. But for the most part, what you get is a really good device that's pretty much devoid of the flashy features that competitors try to add to get you to upgrade. It is a solid, reliable phone. And the Pixel 5 is very much that same thing. I really like the textured back. It feels like metal, but still has wireless charging. The little dimple where the fingerprint reader is on the back is perfectly placed. And I don't know in what world or how warped my mind has gotten where a 6-inch screen feels small to me, but it's really pocketable experience. It's thin. This phone feels great. And I think it's fair to say it's the best looking Pixel that's ever been around. And that is a bar that was like not set that high. You don't have the big notch that we saw in the Pixel 4 for relatively no reason. I do miss the face unlock that was in the Pixel 4 line. I thought Google did a really good job with that. It was removed with the Project Solly. All the radar and gesture-based stuff was taken out to save costs. And what you've got is a really good performing $700 phone. And if you look at areas where corners could be cut, to go down market. So obviously the removal of the flagship Qualcomm chip. You don't have the Snapdragon 865 here, you got the 765G. A really capable phone that gives you both flavors of 5G. I understand that change. That change makes perfect sense to me. But they kept a lot of really good things too. There's 8 gigabytes of RAM in here. That is awesome. The Pixel line has sometimes needed more RAM to keep it moving smoothly. You now have that here. They could have cut corners on the display, put a standard 60 hertz screen. That's what we've got on flagship iPhones, but instead they opted for a 90 hertz display. And certainly 120 would have been better, but this is a really good display with a higher refresh rate. I think it's a perfect compromise. I think that's the theme of the Pixel 5 as I've been using it for past 2 months. They made perfect compromises to get the price down without really taking away what made the Pixel a Pixel. But the reason people are buying Pixels is not for the performance. It's either for software updates or camera, and the main story with this gen is all about the camera. I'm always amazed by what Google does with the cameras. What they did for so many years with just one camera sensor is mind-blowing. You know, now you've got 2 here. They reversed course from last year. We now have a wide and ultra wide instead of the ultra wide and telephoto. And these cameras, as expected, are so good. You have to try like extra hard to get a bad shot if you keep this thing in auto mode. I mean, you really have to try to get anything that doesn't look some version of good. If you're outside in natural light, pictures look amazing. Colors look bright and vibrant. The HDR is second to none. The processing that's happening in the cloud and on device seems like magic when you see the portrait mode start to happen. It gets better as you use the phone and it starts to learn. Night mode is amazing. Low light is amazing. Regular light's amazing. Highlights are amazing. I mean, every photo that you take with this is going to look, I don't know another word, it's amazing. If you want a phone and you don't want to break the bank for it, it's going to give you the best camera, just get the Pixel 5. Just don't even look anywhere else. Pick it up. You are going to be thrilled. What's always amazed me about the Pixel is its portrait mode. And obviously every phone that's come out really in the past 2 years have had some version of portrait mode. But what Google does with their machine learning and sort of you can see the bokeh effect happen kind of after the fact is very cool. It's always getting better. I think that's one of the cool things about the Pixel line. I know when I take a shot that it's just going to look good, and I find myself taking more portrait shots than I usually do if I'm on an iPhone or any other Android because I know it's just going to look great with this. I find myself sharing more pictures when I'm using the Pixel. I find myself looking at more pictures. I'm generally more active with my camera, quite frankly, because it makes me look like a better photographer. And as good as photos have always been on the Pixel line, its Achilles heel, its weak point has always been video. I don't mean just by a little bit. I mean, video for the most part has been abysmal on the Pixel line. I don't know how else to say it, but Google listened this generation, and what it does now on video is actually pretty decent. And a lot of credit probably goes to Qualcomm for the 765G chipset that enables a lot of this. But Google didn't try to do their own stuff, which sometimes is the problem. We see that with Samsung, some of their zooms with the S20 line. They let the processor do what the processor can do. What you've got is pretty solid video fidelity. 4K 60 is here and it looks really good. And the stabilization is next level. No 4K 24, which I think is an odd omission. But now with the Pixel phone, if you need to shoot video and you want to use it for anything aside from looking at it back on your phone, the Pixel 5 is now a capable video shooter. And that is a huge, huge addition to a line where it really didn't have that since its inception. So if you're in the market for a new computer and you're either waiting for prices to come down or for Tiger Lake chips to be everywhere, CCleaner is a tool that can extend the life of your existing computer. I think one of the most useful features of it, there's the utility. They call it the CCleaner Health Check. It's a 4-in-1 tool that not only boosts privacy, space, and speed of security, it's also really easy to use. And if you don't have a PC, don't worry. If you got a Mac, they've got you covered, or if you're on an Android device, this will work as well. And all of this stuff is totally free. It'll make your computer generally run faster. It'll show you where all your space is being taken up and you can decide what to do with it. They've got a checklist that'll help you get your computer running faster, ranging from things like making sure all your apps are updated to getting more granular depending on how in-depth you want to get. It just helps you get more control over what your computer is doing, and in a lot of ways can extend the life of that computer and give you an extra few months or years while you decide what you want to do next. So the free version gives you a lot of utility. It lets you disable and uninstall apps and does manual cleaning. There are paid versions as well. There's Professional, Professional Plus, Enterprise versions, Network editions, Cloud edition, Technical editions, and they all do a variety of different things, ranging from software updates to complete cleaning to defragging. There's a lot of things you can pick and choose from. And if you decide to opt for Pro, I think one of the best features there is that you can schedule it. If you're not sitting in front of your computer, you can just set a time for it to do its thing and come back, and you can view the results and make those decisions depending on what information you just got. And if you want to check it out, again, download the free version or link to it down below. If you think one of the Pro versions might be right for you, if you use code JOHN25, got a really nice discount going for you as well. So if you could pick one thing the Pixel needed to improve on, it was video, and they did that. But now with the Pixel 5 and the 4a, you're missing that giant screened phone, the bigger, the 5XL, so to speak, that no longer is present in the lineup. And there's been rumors of something coming. We've seen pictures of an XE name circling around, and perhaps that is what would have been called the Pixel 5 XL. I don't think it's the rumored Ultra Pixel, this high-end Pixel phone. I think Google's going sort of downrange to more the mid-size, but a larger phone, maybe with a bigger battery and 120 hertz refresh rate, and the next-gen Qualcomm chip inside, the whatever they decide to call it, not the 888, but the 775G, I think would be a really welcome addition to the phone. I'm all for bigger screens, and I don't know, again, like I said, how a 6-inch screen feels small to me, but 6.5, 6.7, even as big as 7 inches would be amazing. Now you've got choice inside the Pixel line. Do you want to go on the low end of price, the 4A? Do you want to spend, let's say, $800 for something like the XE? It would round out the lineup really nice. They're not competing against the flagships anymore of $1,000 plus, but now you've got a phone that can go at almost every single price point and compete relatively well. I mean, who knows what the XC is going to be? I'm totally guessing that it could be the bigger phone. Maybe it's what the Pixel 6 is going to be. Maybe it's going to be a foldable Pixel. I mean, the future is wide open for what Google wants to do with these devices. But I did think it's worth mentioning, if you've waited this long for a new phone, maybe you want to wait a few more weeks or a few more months and see what's coming. And as I sort of rounded out these 2 months with the 5, I'm kind of reminded again of how good the Pixel line has always been when it started. It was so far ahead of the competition. But the competition in a lot of ways have caught up. You got devices like the OnePlus Nord, which comes in at about $300 less. That matches the 5 pretty close to spec for spec. So you're left wondering, are you worth spending an extra $300 and maybe getting a slightly subpar camera experience, but still you're saving $300? Every phone has gotten better, and so has the Pixel 5, but whereas the Pixel line, like I said, already peaked in high school with such good pictures, all the other competitors only had room to go but up. The Pixel 5 seems to have already hit the ceiling. Whether or not you should buy the Pixel 5, if your reservations are not a flagship processor, I think put those aside. It is a very fast phone that's going to take amazing pictures. You're going to get amongst the best Google experience going. You now finally have all-day battery life and a not giant screen phone from Google, and you've got a really solid, good-looking package. There are compromises that have been made, but if you can live within those confines, you'll have a phone that will serve you well for however long you decide to keep it in your pocket.